Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is on the Norvina Vol.3 palette. We are going to do 3 different looks with this palette right here, and if you haven't seen it already, so Anastasia Beverly Hills came out with 3 Norvina palettes literally within like the last 2 or 3 weeks. They were just popping them out like crazy. So this is the volume 3 version. There are 2 before this, so volume 1 and volume 2, and we'll just go ahead and take a look in here. I've already used this, so here is the inside. Super pretty, got some shimmers in there. Mostly I want to say that majority of this palette is matte or like a satin with like, you know, matte with like a little bit of shimmer. Actually, there might be only one matte with shimmer in there. I think I might be going crazy. Okay, so it's a very nice, like fun, colorful palette. Yeah, it's super pretty. The one thing I will note that I found interesting with the 3 palettes is they're named like A, B, C, D, E, and then by number. So it's like the A row, B row, C row, D row, E row, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, basically. I don't know, I think that's kind of cool, but at the same time I like names to shadows because, like, I don't know, it just feels more personal, I guess. I don't know, this just seems like, I think this is supposed to be like, the collection is kind of like an artist, like a makeup artist, like, I don't know, how was it? It's a professional grade artistry palette is how it's worded, with 25 deluxe size high performance shades. And then yeah, so that's basically how it's worded. So I think that's why they named the shades the way that they did. That's just something to know, because normally they have descriptive pretty names and they're just very like A, B, C, D, E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So super, but I understand the thought behind it, so I can totally support that. Totally fine. But yes, this is the 3rd volume in the series of 3, which, like I said, they released them all within like 2 or 3 weeks. This was the only one that I was like interested in, except, okay, I'm kind of lying because I kind of want to get the first one too, but the second one is like the one that I think you can live without. Anyways, this is volume 3. It has 25 shades in it and it retails for $60. You can buy this online on either Anastasia's website or Sephora's website, or you can go to the store. I tried to find this in a JCPenney's Sephora because that's the closest one to me, and they didn't have it, so I don't know if all of them are going to be that way. I would call that store if that's the most convenient store for you is one in JCPenney's, because they didn't have it in mine, so I had to go on an adventure to find this at a standalone Sephora. So if you'd like to get this, or you want to see volume 2 and volume 3 in store, then you'll have to go to a standalone Sephora. Anyways, we're going to do 3 looks today using this palette, and then we will talk about what my feelings are and all of that fun stuff on this palette afterwards. I've said palette a million times, but yes, if you want to see how I got this look and the other 2, go ahead and keep on watching. So as you can see, maybe you can't, I don't know. I already started with this eye here. I'm just getting in a habit of doing that, which I think I already explained, so I won't really get into it. But I will show you guys how I got this eye on this eye here. And this will be the first look. So we will go ahead and get into it. I will point to the shades that I used and all of that. So, oh god, this palette is huge. It's huge. So let's see how I want to do this. So I started with shade C3. a little bit of C4. So I'm trying to do it in the steps that I did it when I originally did this eye. So it's kind of, I did some colors that I didn't necessarily really like, and then I kind of went over them to add a little bit more. So I went in with this C4 shade because I wanted to make it a little more purple. We can always go in with that color later. So I'm not super worried about that now. Okay, so this is the part where I sorta kinda cut my crease. Sorta kinda, because I'm just not that great at it, but so there's effort there. I don't know how much, but there's effort there. So I'm gonna stop filming and then we'll come back. Okay, so I'm back. Then we're gonna go into, let's see, this shade is gorgeous, by the way. Like, I love it. So I think this is A1, like the steak sauce. Okay, anyways, A1. So we start with A1, and then I'm gonna go into A4. So A4 is this other neon green shade. I feel like I'm painting, like I'm painting a masterpiece.
We don't make mistakes.
Which I kinda am. You want to try to marry the colors the best that you can. I don't know if you guys have ever sat in front of a ring light for as long as I do, but this little thing is so hot. Like, I feel like I'm outside right now and it's like 1,000,000 degrees. And it's actually cold outside, which is why I was wearing this. But and then I'm gonna go into B12. B12. That's a vitamin. Actually, B2 is probably a vitamin too, right? Right? I think so. It's B2, not B12. I literally feel like I'm playing bingo when I'm like, sorry, when I'm reading these shades out, like, B5? B5? No. So just trying to marry those colors and then bring it out here, and then we're gonna marry this one with a different color and then wipe that off a little bit. I am using the same brush, so it's kind of personal preference whether or not you want to. I'm wiping it off a little bit and then using it again, but since I'm dipping back and forth between the same colors, I just figured I might as well just use the same brush. So we're gonna go into B4. B4. Okay, so we'll go into this shade, and then same concept, we're just gonna try to marry the two colors a little bit. And then I'm gonna go back into that C4 shade. I guess I'll just show you guys. So it's just the one below it, so this one right here. And we used this shade earlier. I'm just gonna use that right there. Then I am gonna go back into that more, into B2, the one that was right here, and then just kind of put that over top of that purple shade. And then honestly, I can keep doing that like forever and ever and ever and ever, so I'm not gonna bore you guys with how many times I go back and forth between the shades, but you just want to do it until you're basically comfortable with how the shades look together, if they're blended enough for you, and all of that jazz. Actually a little zoomed out this time. I don't know if you guys liked me a little bit closer or what. Also, this cup is super cute. Okay, so to kind of deepen up everything, I just went into that C4 shade. So the shade right here, and then I just take a smaller brush and kind of just run it right here to kind of give the look the dimension that we want, just in case we lost any of it. And then I did take that B4 shade, or no, went to B3 actually, which is the hot pink shade. So this one right here, which we didn't actually use earlier, but I wanted to add a little bit more pink into this. And then just going back into the crease shades that we used earlier. The one that we used on the outer side was B5. So I'm just going to take that one and then just go back over the same areas. So on the outside, make sure everything looks nice and blended. We're going to take that same shade that we just used, that B3, the hot pink shade, and that's just going to be the lower lash line. And I don't want to lose too much of that A1 shade, that bright neon shade in the inner corner, so I'm just going to take a little bit of that and put that there as well. And then I just dusted a little bit of that C1 shade, so I just used a little bit of that on the inner corner. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and finish up the rest of the look, and I will show you guys when it's done. I'm going to clean it up just a little bit, but I will show you guys the finished look and we will be back to do the second one. Okay, so we're back. This is the finished look. Are my eyelashes a little crazy? Yes, just a tiny bit. Alright, so this is the finished look. I'm actually pretty happy with it. My eyelashes are kind of doing whatever they want to. I haven't put falsies on in so long that I didn't even know I had any still. So kind of just had to deal with whatever I had. These probably aren't as full as I would have liked, and they're definitely sticking up a little bit, but since we are doing 2 more looks after this, I'm not really that worried about it. It's gonna get taken off in a second after I take pictures. So, and then the one thing I realized, I don't have any eyeliner to tightline with. I literally just use it all. Like, it got to the end and it broke off and almost ended up in my eye, and it was like the most terrifying thing ever when you have eyeliner break off and fall right directly past your eye, because that could have ended up in my eye and that would have been a tragedy, an actual tragedy. Anyways, this is our finished look. We're gonna go ahead and take this off and then do the second look. Okay, I lied and I'm back with my wonky lash. I don't know if I like it with this lipstick, but I wanted to add lipstick with this. So I was either gonna go with something nude, and then I decided no, I'm gonna do something crazy and do purple. So now this is the finished look. Okay, so time to do look number 2. As you can see, this is the general gist of things. I don't know why I was going like this. But yes, this is pretty much the gist of things for this look. A very warm toned, like fire color sort of look. I am just like destroying this palette, by the way. I have gotten eyeshadow all over it. Okay, so we're gonna go, I started with B3. So it's the hot pink shade. We'll just go into that one. And then I think I'm gonna do this eye a little bit different than how I did this eye, and just application wise. So hopefully it ends up looking generally the same, but I do want to try something different. I wasn't anticipating it, but the orange shades in the palette all look super similar to me, and it was kind of hard to have definition between them. And oh god, this look is looking a little rough. I tried to build up the shadows the best that I could. I don't know how well you can see it, but it looks like some of them are actually separating a little bit, which is a tiny bit concerning, but just go ahead and keep going with this. And I went into this B5 shade right here. And then this C2 shade, this more red shade. So I started the other eye with the more orangey shades, and then I went in with the other shades. I'm going to try not to do that this time to get a little bit more definition out of this eye. So we're going to start with, originally I had started this eye like right in here. I started with this E3 shade, and then I tried to go in with the E4 shade and then the A1 shade. We're gonna go in with the A1 shade first and then go into all of those colors. And then go in with the shade right next to it, so E3. And then go in with this A2 shade. And then A5. And we're gonna go in with that C2 shade, that like red shade that we started out with. Okay, so this side is looking a little bit different than the other side. I'm just gonna go through and kind of touch up any of the colors that I feel like aren't popping as much. Underneath the eye, I go in with the, I don't remember what one it was. I believe it was the A5 shade. I'm gonna go in with that shade under the eye, and then I think I'm just gonna finish up the rest of the look and then show you guys once I'm done. I need to put foundation and stuff back on, so I will show you guys as soon as I'm done. Okay, so this is the finished second look. So again, are the eyelashes a little wonky? Yes, absolutely. Am I taking them off after this? Yes. Oh my god, I have like a lot of stuff all over my fingers. But yeah, this is the finished look. It turned out a little bit differently than how I was expecting, but overall I think it's pretty. I don't want to get into too much detail because we need to go to the third look, but what I will say, there wasn't that much of a difference between all of the orange shades. They were all really similar once they were on my eye. I thought that there was going to be more of a difference between them, and you really couldn't see that much of a difference between them. So it's a little bit of a drawback just because there's like 3 or 4 orange shades and they're all fairly similar. I mean, yes, they are different, but like I thought you'd be able to see like more definition in this look than what you can see, so that's a little bit of a negative. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the third and final look, and then we will discuss my thoughts on this palette. Okay, so this is the third look, probably the easiest and my favorite. Go figure. It's so weird how that happened that way. But for sure, one thing I'm just going to note now, this palette does have a decent amount of staining, so trying to do these 3 looks one after the other, which it's almost 1 o'clock in the morning right now, so I am very close to being just like ready to go to bed. But I drank coffee at like 9 o'clock, so I could do this. I don't know where I was going with that. Oh, there's a bit of staining with this palette. We'll talk about that later. So let's go ahead and get into this third and final look. So we're gonna go in with this C4 shade. And let's see, I've already used this shade a decent amount so far. After removing my makeup so many times, my eyebrows are finally getting affected by it. I like looked at the right eyebrow and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look right. Alright, so after this we're gonna go in with this B3 shade. So this B3 shade, that hot pink color again. This will go just outside of what we just did. And of course, I couldn't not use the shimmers in this palette, though I will say I'm a lot more intrigued by the mattes in this palette. But what fun would that be if I didn't use the shimmers at all? So I'm going to take my glitter primer from NYX. I'm going to put it on my lid and just kind of bring it up past where my eye crease is. And then I'm just going to apply this with my finger. Ooh, look at that. We're going to take this B1 shade right here, this really light blue shimmer shade. And we're just going to pack that on. And I'm just going to do like a rough application of the colors because I'm going to use a couple of them and then I'm going to go in with a brush later. So the next one we're going to use is C5. So it's this green shade right here. That's going to go in the middle of the lid and up past the crease a little bit. And then blend that into the blue shade. Bring that out further. And then we're going to go into this purple shade. I don't know if you guys can see that. Ooh, my hands are all steamed. And then we're going to go in with this E5 shade. That'll just go out on the corner. I'm just going to take the blue shade, that B1 shade, and just put that in the inner corner. Just using this to kind of extend the shade a little bit up further on my eye. So just up there. I'm just going to use the same brush and then take the green shade and basically do the same thing. I think I brought the blue up a little bit too far. And then I'm going to go in with the purple shade and basically do the same exact thing. And then with a smaller brush, I'm just going to go in with B3, the hot pink shade, and just kind of buff out what I just did, because I just did a little tiny bit too much. And then back in with the C4 shade, which is the one that we started off with. Alright, so super simple for this look. I'm just gonna take the darker shade, the C4 shade, and just bring that under here. Okay, so super simple, a lot easier than the other looks. I'm going to finish this off with mascara and do a little bit of face makeup. This is going to be the last look, so I'm not going to go too crazy with everything because I'm ready to go to bed. I don't know about you guys when you're going to be watching this, probably not this late at night. If you are, watch this and then go to bed. Anyways, I'm going to finish up the rest of my face and then we'll talk about the palette. Okay, so this is the third and final look. This is the finished look. Alright, so I just love that this is like the easiest one and it's my favorite. Like, it's my favorite. I just love these tones together. It does remind me a little bit of the first one as far as the like more jewel tones go, but I love this. Anyways, just kind of go ahead and get into my general thoughts on this baby right here. So basically my general thoughts on this palette are, it's really pretty. The one thing that I want to say is there is a decent amount of staining, so I don't think that's really anything to be concerned about if you're doing your makeup in the morning and you're wearing the same eye look throughout the day. I think that you'd be able to get the staining off, or like majority of it at the end of the day, or at least by the next day you should be able to get majority of the staining off. Because I was doing 3 looks in a row, it was hard to get all of the staining off, especially once I got to that second look. Even the first look it was hard. It kind of, I still had some like blue, purple like underneath it, and I just needed to cover it the best I could with concealer. So I basically had staining with all of the looks. Hopefully this one shouldn't have too much, but that is a factor. I mean, like I said, if you're going to be removing this at the end of the day, you're only wearing one look and you're not constantly switching through your makeup looks, then it shouldn't really matter. I feel like you're going to be able to get off most of the staining, and then hopefully if you can't get most of the staining out, that you can at least get it out the next day. I used makeup wipes and micellar water and an eye remover, and it still wasn't able to get everything off when I was going in between looks. So that's something just to note. That's not anything crazy when it comes to bright, colorful shadows. I would be more surprised if there wasn't staining, but it's just a thing. So I just want to let you guys know that. As far as fallout goes, I don't think I really had too much fallout. I noticed it a little bit. I want to say it was more in the first look, but again, it wasn't really that bad, so there aren't really any shades that I have in mind where I was like, oh, I got a lot of fallout with that. It's not too bad. I did experience it a little bit, but really, I mean, for someone who usually does their foundation and everything after their eyes normally, I don't really think it was that big of a deal or anything to be super concerned of. It's just something to note that I did see a little bit, but honestly not too much. There's a lot of kickback when you dip your brush in, but again, not anything crazy. I feel like it's kind of normal with really any eyeshadow palette that I have, especially that I feel like the colorful ones kind of tend to have more kickback, but again, it's not that crazy. I guess it would be something like, and I think I mentioned this a lot, just be mindful of what you're wearing when you're doing your makeup. basically, and then you'll be fine, you know? Just don't wear something you don't want to get colorful. If it's like a white shirt and you're not planning on doing that, it'll look like you like just did a color run or something. I don't know. But yeah, those are just things to add. One thing I will note is I really don't like the setup of this. Like, and with all three of the Norvina palettes, this was the only one that I was like really interested in. The other two are right. The first one, I think I would go with this one. So number 3, number 1, and then number 2. I've seen some accounts like rearrange the colors, and that's actually what kind of convinced me to buy this palette. Is after I saw the colors rearranged, then I was interested in it. Looking at how the layout is in here, it feels very like random and chaotic, kind of like, and that's with this one and the other two palettes. I just look at them and I'm like, there's a lot of shades in there, and I don't even know, like, I don't know. I just wasn't really paying attention to them that much. I saw the palettes, I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. That's kind of just my general thought. Like, when I first saw all three of the palettes, I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. And then I had to see them in person, and again, I saw the second one and the third one in person. And of course, I got a little more interested in it. And like I said, I got more interested in this palette and the three palettes in general after I seen them rearranged. So like, if I can, I would probably rearrange these. I don't know how easy it would be, and like obviously I don't want to risk possibly breaking any shadows or anything like that, but if it was easy to remove these and then lay them out the way that I feel makes sense, then I would. Because looking at this, I'm like, and of course after doing 3 looks now, it doesn't feel as like chaotic as I thought it looked. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just like you just look at the palettes, all 3 of them, and you're like, that's a lot of colors. And then you kind of like don't really get it. Like, you're looking at it and you're like, I don't know. That's just one thing that I had to say, but like obviously I bought it. Obviously it's still pretty. It's just, I don't know. I just don't really understand how it's set up. But anyways, just so we're not rambling on forever and ever and ever, because you know I'm good at that, I do think this is a really good palette. I do like the Anastasia formula, so I feel like it's pretty much like any of the other formulas that I've had from them. I do feel like their bright colors are a little bit different formula-wise than some of the other palettes that I have, but maybe not. No, I'm probably just making it up. I don't know. I feel like this was really easy to work with. They were really pigmented, so that definitely helped. There wasn't really any shades that I had any difficulty with, but I will say the 3 orange shades, so A2, A5, and E3. E3 was supposed to be more of a coral shade, but creating a look with all 3 of them together, there just didn't feel like they were that different to really be able to incorporate them in a look together to get definition. If you're trying to blend out and make things look nice and smooth, then those 3 colors would go great together. But when I did the second look, I just kind of, I don't know, I just had a hard time believing that all 3 of those shades really looked that similar. And I'm kind of just going to swatch them on, like, we'll swatch that on my fingers, like, almost from here, they almost look like the same exact shade. Those are 3 different ones. So this is A5, this is A2, and this is E3. And yeah, so they look really similar to me. That would be like the only complaint that I really have about this palette. Other than that, I do actually like the shade range of this. Like the different colors and everything in here. You know, I'm a sucker for bright colors, so of course I'm gonna love it, you know, like, come on. After dealing with this one, working with it, and after purchasing it, I'm actually interested in buying the first one, Norvina Vol.1. The second one I'm still not really that interested in, but not to say that it wouldn't be a great palette if it is the same formula as this one. I'm sure if you're into those colors that you would enjoy it. But yeah, basically my overall thought on this palette is I I enjoyed it. I love the colors in here. It was super easy to work with. All of the shadows were very pigmented. I don't want to talk too much about it because your girl wants to go to sleep. So we're going to kind of leave it at that and say, yes, this is a beautiful palette. Also, it's a little bit smaller than I thought it would be. Like, I mean, it's kind of like the size of my head, but when I was seeing pictures of it, I thought it was like huge, you know, like this will fit in my makeup drawer, which if you guys don't know about by now, I love that. Like, if I can stand it up in the drawer and close the drawer, I'm happy. If it's too big to do that, I don't like it. So anyways, losing my train of thought, so we're just gonna go ahead and wrap this up. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. We'll see you next time.